Songs I want to play, my guitar skills. This video is about how to overcome your limitations on guitar and express your emotions freely with music theory and guitar technique. To remove these barriers, we'll be taking a look at why I started playing guitar. From there, we'll talk about my first lesson, which I completely failed at. After quitting guitar lessons, I decided to join a band, which was also a catastrophe because I got kicked out. Next, we'll talk about how I barely got into music school, what I actually learned in composition class. After that, I started teaching music in LA, and I put together a program that condensed everything that I learned that would help other people reach their musical goals as fast and efficiently as possible. I want to start with giving a little bit of my backstory. I know I've made a lot of videos on social media, but not many people have actually heard my origin. I grew up in a conservative Christian home. My parents sheltered me from all things pop culture. Basically, they thought, anything like on MTV was devil worship. I didn't get a chance to really hear metal music until I was about 12 or so. I remember one summer I snuck out of my parents' house at night and I went to my cousin's and we watched MTV. They would actually record on video some of their favorite tracks, like the music videos. So we would watch Korn's Clown or Marilyn Manson's The Beautiful People. Anything we could get our hands on. I was so hungry to soak it up. I remember with Korn's Clown in particular, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Just the unfiltered, raw, emotional power. 7-string guitars and that devilish dissonance. They were drawing me into their twisted world. Yeah, excellent. Once I heard Dream Theater, it was all over. I had to learn how to play guitar. So for Christmas that year, my parents got me an electric guitar starter kit, one of those things from Walmart. Yes, it was time to shred. So, of course, I plug it in, crank the gain to 11, but there was just one problem. I sounded like shit. I mean, why couldn't I play those Korn riffs or Metallica licks or the John Petrucci solos? So I figured I would sign up for guitar lessons. And at my first lesson, my teacher tried to teach me a lot of things that I wasn't interested in at the time, like how to learn, all the notes on the fretboard. All I wanted to do at age 14 or 15 was just rock. I mean, I didn't care about music theory at this point. So that I quit guitar lessons and I joined a band.
Thank you. Hey, check this guy out on social media, Shredmaster Scott. He's fucking hilarious. Give it up for Shredmaster Scott.
There were some guys at church that were forming a group and they needed a lead guitarist. They had bass, drums, and a vocalist. I thought to myself, how hard could this be? So I learned the pentatonic scale from a book and showed up to practice. My technique was just playing pentatonic solos as fast as humanly possible during every lead break. And it sounded so bad, I eventually got kicked out of the band and I was replaced by this guy named Randy. Randy sounded way better than I did. He had been studying technique and music theory for a couple of years and really had his act together. This was a big blow to my ego, so I really just kind of retreated from, the public music scene at that point I was involved in and started to study on my own. I needed to rebuild my self-esteem and kind of go through my hero journey, so to speak. I was trying to figure out how Randy sounded so good when he would play lead, so I would research different topics. I got some books on the circle of fifths, intervals, triads, and I even taught myself how to read music from a Mel Bay book. I mean, really the point was to try to express and articulate the emotions that I had inside and translate that into sound. But I felt like my creativity was being blocked. Eventually, I got so obsessed with music, I decided I was going to study composition at school. Everyone seemed to think this was a bad idea. Family, friends, they were like, listen, you don't seem all that talented. Maybe you should study something more practical like business instead. Now, I was a very stubborn person. I suppose I still am. So in 2001, I signed up for classes at Azusa Pacific University in Los Angeles. And you had to pass this music entrance exam, which I barely squeaked by on with my self-study. So once I was in, I instantly signed up for as many credit hours as possible. I did 21 credit hours, which is a lot. It's a lot of music. My classes included classical guitar, music theory, practical musicianship, choir, arranging, orchestration, counterpoint, recording, composition, computer technology, and more. I was determined to learn everything I could. So that summer, while I was working at my factory job, I had a lot less time to practice. In order to keep progressing, I came up with this detailed practice routine. I wrote it all down on a piece of paper. It'd be like 10 minutes on sight reading, 10 minutes on your scales, 5 minutes on classical guitar, 10 minutes on improvising. Pages and pages of these routines, all engineered to just maximize what little time I had. It was difficult because the job that I had, I was working this glue spray gun at a veneer plant, and it was giving me carpal tunnel. So I didn't have that long before my hands started to hurt. So after a couple years of music school, I actually started to see some really definite results. I remember one day riding in the car with my cousin, and we were listening to Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the classical meets metal group. And I suddenly realized that I was following in my mind what the singer was doing. So I could hear, oh, he's on the one pitch there, and then he went down to the 7th degree. And this was like a total game changer. Instead of having to look at everyone's fingers, when I was jamming with them, it was easier actually for me to just hear it, and then I would respond accordingly a lot faster. I can't express how big of a win this was for me because I was never that guy who was talented. In fact, I had very little musical skill naturally. It's just something that all came from a tremendous amount of hard work. Kind of felt like just breaking free from prison to be able to kind of translate what was in here and then put that onto the guitar fretboard. It was like I could actually speak the language of music, which is the whole point of being a musician. So here we are at the High Tide Beach Festival. It's gonna be a big fucking rock show. Ha. Party, party. Hey! Woo! We're playing Altered Dominus today.
Hell yeah, man. It's Master Scott!
Fuck yeah, dude. Get in there. So I graduated with a degree in music composition in 2006, and then I started teaching music right away in Los Angeles. This is really when I started to develop some unique ideas, things like my perspective on modes and counterpoint. Guitar players would come to me, frustrated that they couldn't really articulate their creative visions, and I would, come up with these exercises and strategies to accomplish their goals. Things like song structure, how to write music, using musical keys, constructing a guitar solo, using music theory to compose or improvise over tracks. Below in the description is my music theory program package. This is a culmination of my life's work up until this point. The purpose of this package is to equip you with the tools you need to articulate your musicality. We get stuck because the technical language of music theory often gets in the way. All you're really trying to do when you study theory is translate what's in here and get that out onto the fingerboard. It's not about flexing on others or telling other people that they're doing it wrong. It's just a way to eliminate that blockage in your mind. You just want to be able to speak freely. The most holy guitar chord, Jesus. There's over 20 hours of video in this package, 200 pages of tabs, how to read music, intervals, scales, triads, modes, keys, one of my favorites, 50 song examples. It's actually way more than that, but that's just in one of the courses. How to write a guitar riff. I love that course. How to play guitar for beginners. I also have over 70 videos on composition and songwriting. I cover how to solo, my ultimate guitar workout series. That might just be one of my favorite new products. My scale and chord Bible, that's a massive value. My classical guitar package and more. Now that's a lot, so let's go through these and break it down. But first, some WAP juice. Have that heated to exactly 420 degrees, which is pretty hot.
I've had a little to eat, but today, look at that. There you go. Oh, yeah.
We're fucking ready to go. Ready to go, dude. I'm fucking psyched.
Here we go.
Have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Good. It's gonna be a good one. Good crowd.
Right.
They're into it. Have fun. Come on, you stoked to see the circle? My man Shipmaster Scott, aka Viking Jesus. Would you like a beverage on stage?
Music theory for guitarists. This is a great course. If you have some background in guitar and you aren't a complete beginner, this is a good place to start. Basically, I condensed everything I learned in 5 years of music school into 4.15 hours. Nothing like this exists on the internet, I guarantee it. 26 pages of transcriptions, tabs, you get standard notation, guitar profiles, PDFs, play along practice tracks totaling 30 minutes. There is a crazy amount of value in this course. So all the ear training stuff that I did at school, I run you through in this course, and it's interactive, so I take you to websites where you can actually test your knowledge. Do a master pitch, the guitar fretboard, the musical alphabet, how to read music, tabs, intervals, scales, modes, one of my favorite topics, triads, seventh chords, chord inversions, this is a big one, keys, the circle of fifths, interactive ear training quizzes, note identification, fretboard note location, that's another really big one. Time signatures, rhythm, 12-bar blues. I love the 12-bar blues. Jazz, rock, and counterpoint. I demonstrate each of these topics with examples in popular songs. So some of the artists include Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, Pink Floyd, Lil Wayne, just kidding, Nirvana, Led Zeppelin, U2, Dream Theater, Rush. Don't be in a rush now. Stevie Wonder, Deep Purple, Tom Petty, Beethoven, John Williams, the film composer, and much more. Now, my best advice when you're taking these courses is to play along with the video like a walkthrough. And it's absolutely imperative that you get the Guitar Pro app. This will change your life. It's the biggest tool for guitar players. The reason being is because you can customize every exercise. You can change the key, the tempo, the tone, the notes, even the tuning. Every time I practice, I literally just open up Guitar Pro like take one of my ultimate workouts. I just cue it up in Guitar Pro, and then I start slow, play along, I zoom in on certain things, check out some notes here, change a few things around there. It's just, you'll never go back once you try it. One of my most popular courses in the package is the How to Write a Guitar Riff course. This basically covers how popular metal bands write riffs, like Metallica, Megadeth, Pantera. It's honestly confusing when you listen to like James Hetfield or Dave Mustaine talk about songwriting, because their formal education is pretty weak. But I've boiled down what they're doing into some basic steps. It's actually brilliant, but not that hard. My simple two-step process to write your own riffs, the science behind why OOO works, and a lot more. This is a really important one. How to Write a Guitar Riff is a 48-page written course that reads like a social media feed. I've got big pictures, memes, the tab right there, and you just scroll along at your own pace. Really enjoyable way to learn. I hate to say it, but it may be even better than listening to me on video.
Begins to tell round midnight, round midnight. I do pretty well when it comes around.
Next, we've got my How to Play a Guitar course. So I know I teach a lot of kind of advanced topics, but if you're just starting out, this is perfect. 78 pages, you learn the basic anatomy of the guitar, you know, the fretboard, the strings, tunings, how to sit when you practice, and little things like how to hold the pick that actually make a big difference. Then we get into some popular riffs like Crazy Train, some more basic stuff. The cage system, you know, the different chord shapes in the first position. Easy classical licks. I take some stuff out of Bach's Toccata and Fugue that sounds really good, but it's actually really easy. We'll talk about finger picking using Metallica's Nothing Else Matters. Learning something new can be overwhelming. So in this course, I cover some of the psychological aspects of how you can maximize your practice time. Things like chunking technique and being able to break down a big challenge into smaller units. Again, this has a great sort of social media vibe flow to it. You just scroll through at your own pace. Really a lot of fun to take. You're basically going to get to like an intermediate level after taking this course. So you get all the way through power chords and basic scales. Now, I want to point out my music theory bundle playlist. This is maybe the most concentrated form of value that I have. There's over 70 videos. It's over 15 hours of content. And some of the topics include scales, composition, counterpoint for metal guitar. I've never seen a lesson on counterpoint for metal guitar. And it's such a game changer. If you understand how to move voices, you can make your power chord riffs a lot more interesting. Here we have a great example of oblique motion or pedal point. The high A note stays the same while the lower voice explores the D melodic minor scale. You want to pray to Satan or anything?
Yeah, the Luciferian prayer.
Are you guys ready?
Because it's gonna go
What's going on, man? Tuesday night, it's school night. Come on, it's fucking Tuesday. Master Scott, Viking Jesus, drink it in.
I just want to highlight here a few of my favorite videos. The mind-blowing guitar modes lesson. This one, if you're interested in composing, will change your life. It's a master class that reveals the 3 keys to unlock the power of modes in your playing. Basically, it comes down to how to capture a specific mood or emotion, right? Because that's what gets you into music in the first place. You feel something and you want to know basically how to articulate those emotions that you're having and make those clear to the listener. There's a lesson in here on counterpoint where you can follow along with me in Guitar Pro. I'm basically using Guitar Pro like a whiteboard, and I just write out in real time like a song. We just come up with a song using counterpoint. So it's a very practical way to apply the concept, because I know a lot of guitar players don't even know what counterpoint is. I also have a masterclass on negative harmony. This is a great video. How to write 12 tone rows, classical guitar tutorials, videos on how to increase your speed, music theory overview lessons. I've also got a great video on how to harmonize your lead lines, kind of like in an Iron Maiden style. You're gonna want to check out my neoclassical metal music theory course in this bundle. This is where you learn the scales, the chords, and the compositional techniques to get that metal but also classical sound. All right, let's take a little break, get some juice up in us here. Switch my flying V guitar position. Let's go back. Dave Mustaine says the V is the greatest shape. Well, that may be true in terms of looks. It's kind of hard to hold. I want to cover a few testimonials so you guys get an idea of the transformation that's being achieved by students taking my courses.
This record is fucking gold.
Chords. That's a B minor, F sharp diminished.
Now what he's talking about here is a game-changing concept. This idea that chords and scales are connected, and in fact, chords are derived from scales. Playing every other note to find the harmonies that come from a particular scale. This will blow up your songwriting like nothing else. Bradley says, hey Shred, since signing up for your music theory course, my practice routine has evolved. That's great because a lot of people don't even have a practice routine. Understanding the fretboard and incorporating basic chords has elevated my playing drastically in a short period of time. Let's be honest, the guitar fretboard is really hard to understand. It's way harder than something like the piano. So having a basic command of how scales and chords fit across the fingerboard can completely change your life. I practice between 3 and 5 hours every day. That's insane. Love it. Generally start off with shapes and scales, arpeggios, etc., but always end up just noodling in the pentatonics. I think a smaller amount of structured practice is better than a high amount of unstructured practice. Once you dial in a routine, it doesn't take long to really cover all the bases, 20-30 minutes tops. Rick the Explorer says, Shredmaster Scott wants us to not suck at guitar. That's true. I bought his course, and even as a classical guitar student, learned immensely from this course, and it reflects now in my new Spotify songs. Now, I love this comment because for me, that's what I want to see most. I want to see you guys putting this knowledge to work for you, making your own music. That is the whole point. Nuke97 says, honestly, this is the best counterpoint video for guitar on YouTube. I love talking about counterpoint because a lot of guitarists don't even know it exists, but it's such a crucial part of putting together a strong riff or line. Michael says, I have literally just learned more from watching your cage system video than I've ever learned in one sitting before. The cage system was put together by Joe Pass. It's the most powerful way to navigate the guitar fingerboard from a standpoint of understanding chords and harmony. I also use it big time in my sweeps. If you don't know the cage system and you're interested in sweep picking, that is the linchpin that really unlocks everything else. Let's be honest, I hate that feeling when you're not progressing on guitar or even like you're losing your chops. Oof. The problem is you get stuck and you're not really sure what to practice next, to keep progressing. Your practicing just kind of ends up turning into random noodling. So I came up with this brilliant idea to always make sure you're making gains. I hate practicing dumb exercises like chromatic scales. I mean, don't get me wrong. They do improve your technique. It's just, it kills your soul while you're doing it. Playing something that sounds bad, it doesn't make you want to do it over and over again. So I came up with this idea of writing musical exercises. Imagine that, right? It's like an etude format, but they're specifically engineered to cover topics, that you really need to improve. Things like, technique, sweep picking and alternate picking, finger tapping. But these techniques outline compositional devices like the Neapolitan chord or secondary dominance, how to change keys, pedal tones. And I wrote all the notes in these guitar profiles so you can get inside my mind and sort of understand how I'm thinking. I see this a lot where it's like, a guitar player will have a tremendous amount of facility and technique, but what they're playing isn't inherently musical. And that ruins everything. Like, you can't just play fast and expect the babes to swoon. Like, you have to be able to slow it down and be making real music there. That's a lot harder than it sounds, of course. So the goal here was to give you a lot of fodder basically for your own compositions. You can use, these licks or progressions as seeds, compositional seeds in your own playing or for your improvising perhaps. So I just, again, I think I said this earlier, but I just open up Guitar Pro and adjust the tempo. I'll start a little bit slower and then just work it up, and I just get lost in that. Like an hour goes by and I'm like, what happened? Like, I get stuck in a time warp. It's just probably the most enjoyable way to practice, period. Classical music is just heavy metal before electricity. Step 1 to sound classical is to use the harmonic minor scale. Step 2 is to steal chord progressions used by Mozart and Beethoven. Step 3, combine the scale and chords to impress the babes. Now let's be honest, chord and scale books are pretty worthless for the most part because it's just like a comprehensive list of all the things that exist, but you don't get any sense of how to use those things. So in my scale and chord Bible, I try to make things contextual. You learn the cage system, common chord progressions for each style of music, including jazz, metal, classical, rock. One of my favorite parts in my chord Bible is the modal cadences. This is really the way that you write songs. So you take a chord progression, let's say like the Dorian mode, which would be like D minor and G major in the key of D Dorian. And then what you can do is outline or put those chords behind a melody. Like I use Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, the greatest / worst melody of all time. But it really is effective. So I harmonize Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in every way imaginable, using, chord substitutions or with modes or, just crazy harmonic ideas. And they're all just like little snapshots of what a song could be. My scale Bible is in here as well. It's got over 100 scales. Everything. Octatonic scales, diminished scales, whole tone, all the modes of, every weird scale you can think of. And a lot of scales you just wouldn't even imagine existed, like Olivier Messiaen's modes of limited transposition. Now, I also have my classical guitar package included here, which is a collection of 25 pieces that I studied in music school. Some of the more popular classical guitar songs out there. I transcribe them for you. You're welcome in tablature, so that, if you can't read music, you can just read the tab. I would suggest also trying to learn how to read the standard notation. It's true what my classical guitar teacher told me, which is that, and this crushed me, but he's right. He said that classical guitar is way harder than even the most, virtuosic electric guitar player. And it's just true, because you're playing a complete musical arrangement when you play classical. So you're playing the melody, you're playing the harmony, and of course the rhythm. With electric, you're typically just playing one part that's part of a larger whole, right? But whoa, when you start learning classical, you will realize, and you'll just notice that your electric chops explode, because it's harder to play classical, the strings are thicker, the action's higher. Then when you get on electric, it just feels like a toy guitar almost. Everything that I've created up until this point is on Patreon. That's like the absolute most massive storehouse for all of my courses, tabs, and anything I come up with will be on there, including like the short videos that I post. If you like a lick or a riff that I'm playing there, you can get all that stuff on Patreon. Old school courses that haven't seen the light of day in a while, like my Modal Mayhem course, my Master of Metal series, the Pentatonic Power course. I post my original music there as well. You can even get private lessons. I do course walkthroughs. Another massive value on Patreon is Discord, and that is a community where we all hang out, and I love it because everyone's sharing what they know. So that's another tremendous resource in and of itself. It's also nice to know that there's other people that share your struggles. It kind of helps keep you motivated and on track. Check out the description below for a discounted code to my music theory program package. Nothing excites me more than seeing you guys get results. Feel free to reach out to me with questions or even to share your original music. Maybe you learned something from one of my videos that inspired your own piece. Until next time, shred till you're dead.